Today's topic is solving problems with proportions. So we're going to look at some word problems, and let's begin. It says, Sue's hobby is making masks. Out of every 20 masks she makes, 3 are clown masks. If Sue makes 240 masks, how many of them will be clown masks? Now, what we're going to do is we're going to make a proportion here. So we know that 3 out of every 20 that she makes are clown masks. So let's write that down. So we have 3 clown masks out of or over 20 total masks. Now, the key to doing all of these proportion problems is to create another fraction on the other side and to write the same units right across from each other. In the numerator, or on the top line, we've written clown masks on the left side. So we're going to write the same thing on the right side. So it's going to say clown masks. On the bottom, or in the denominator, on the left side, we wrote total masks. So on the right side, on the bottom, we're also going to write total masks. That helps us to know where to place our next number. The next sentence says, if Sue makes 240 masks, how many of them will be clown masks? Well, if we want to know where the 240 goes, think of what it represents. 240 represents the total masks that she makes. So we're going to put that in the denominator, next to total masks. What we're trying to find is the number of clown masks. So we're going to call that X or N, whatever variable you'd like to use. Now we're going to solve this just like we do any other proportion. We're going to connect the numbers that we know on the diagonal. So we're going to say 3 times 240, and then we're going to divide by the third number, which is 20. So 3 times 240 gives us 720, divided by 20 gives us 36. So we end up with 36 clown masks. Now moving on to the next problem. A survey discovered that 37 pairs of eyeglasses in a sample of 120 pairs of eyeglasses were defective. If this rate remains the same each year, how many of the 36,000 pairs of eyeglasses produced each year by a company are defective? So let's start off with what we know. We know that 37 pairs of eyeglasses out of 120 pairs are defective. So let's write that down. So we have 37 defective glasses out of 120 pairs total glasses. We're now going to make a proportion. In our new fraction on the right, we're going to put the same units right across from each other. So we're going to say defective glasses in the numerator and total glasses in the denominator, keeping the same units right across from each other. Now let's look at the last number that we know. It says if this rate remains the same each year, how many of the 36,000 pairs of eyeglasses produced each year by a company are defective? Well, that 36,000 represents the total number of glasses the company creates every year or produces. So we're going to put 36,000 next to total glasses. We're trying to find how many are defective. So we'll call that x or n or some variable. And now what we're going to do is connect the numbers that we know that are diagonally located from each other. And we're going to multiply those. So we're going to say 37 times 36,000. And then divide by our third number of 120. So let's go ahead. 37 times 36,000 gives us 1,332,000. And then we divide that by 120, and we end up with 11,100 defective eyeglasses. So 11,100 of the 36,000 total glasses produced by that company would be defective. Let's continue on. A survey showed that 3 out of every 11 students are left-handed. If there are 2,310 students on campus, how many are left-handed? So let's set up our proportion. We have 3 students that are left-handed out of 11 total. We're going to create the same proportion here on the, or the same units, I should say, on the right-hand side, right across from each other. So in this proportion, in the numerator, we're going to have left-handed, and in the denominator, we'll have total, the same units right across from each other. Well, it says if there are 2,310 students on campus, how many are left-handed? Well, 2,310 represents the total number of students, and the number that are left-handed is what we're trying to find, so we'll call that x. And we're going to go about this the same way we did before. Connect the numbers that are located diagonally from each other and multiply them. So 3 times 2,310, and then divide by our third number of 11. So 3 times 2,310 gives you 6,930, and we want to divide by 11, which gives us 630 left-handed students. Thank you very much for joining me. I'll see you next time.